The following programme has not been approved by any sanctioning bodies associated with MLS, US Soccer, or Don Garber. It is not intended to replace actual informed opinions from soccer experts. Side effects may include propensity to spout bad takes, excessive use of salary acronyms, and a longing for the return of running penalty kicks. The World Scam is not responsible for increased enthusiasm for Major League Soccer after listening. Enjoy at your own risk.
And we're just jumping right into it, Chief. I'm not even screwing around with any intros. Sound the alarm. We did it. The FIFA Peace Prize winner has come through for us once again. Florian Balogun's red card suspension, not the red card itself, but the suspension has been lifted. This news came down. I'm looking at the Athletic article was posted at 1:55 p.m. I know some sports media personalities had this a little earlier.
Is this not the most hold on? Is this not the most American story of all time? Like I was texting with a mutual friend of ours, and I was asking this question to them. I'm going to pose the backstory here a little bit. That I have this belief, and I don't think that's a hot take, that Monday is the biggest moment in the history of soccer as a sport in America.
You're probably right.
Every other sport you can think of has had that moment in the past. And you can think, and you can debate, and it would be a good bar debate as to, when was the biggest moment in the history of pro football or pro hockey or pro baseball? When was that moment? Whatever it was for all these sports, it was in the past.
Yeah. Soccer
is the one that's got, this is going to be it. And what goes along with that is this idea of when will the United States become a soccer nation? When will we become a soccer country? When will that happen? And I kind of have a time and date for when that happened now.
Okay.
I think that you can now state this, and it is at 10:23 a.m. on today, the 5th of July, 2020, year of our Lord 2026, when the news of Florian Balogun's suspension being lifted by FIFA was broken by Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports. Bookmark this tweet. Davey Pitch's football sources are saying a certain red card may soon be overturned.
Man.
That's it. We've made it as a soccer country. That we're here. It's over, Johnny. We are firmly in this when you have someone like Dave Portnoy reporting on a decision that, look, we're in the trust tree here. We're all friends. A mildly corrupt FIFA decision to benefit us as a host country of the World Cup. We've made it. This is our moment. Congratulations to everyone out there who is a soccer fan that has spent years evangelizing for the game, or being the one guy in your friend group that's actually, you should come and watch a game. The action is never stopping. There's no commercial. If you've been that guy and you've been waiting for the rest of the country to catch up to you, today is for you. This morning was for you.
Chief, I think this is so right on so many levels. So, one, obviously the have we made it as a soccer country? Yeah, we are playing the soccer corruption game, front and center. Okay. We've flirted with it. And I actually made this joke earlier. This was, honest to God, this was the long game of Chuck Blazer. This was his legacy.
Here's to you
his
and
moment.
Your cat, Chuck. Here's to you, baby.
Not only did Chuck Blazer have so much ill-gotten money that he had a special apartment just for his cats, Chief, think back. Where did he have that second apartment for his cats?
Trump Tower, baby.
Trump Tower.
FIFA prize winning Trump Tower.
A lot of chickens are coming home to roost right now.
Yeah. No, I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but I am a big connect the dots guy. There are a lot of dots with a lot of lines pointing to them today.
Yeah. So on that front, Well done. The French have had their say. Jack Warner has had his say. There's been plenty of opportunities for corruption. The Middle East certainly has gotten in on this recently.
Yeah. Your boy Cristiano Ronaldo, he was the beneficiary of a little bit of light corruption at the start of this tournament.
Yeah. The exact same mechanism allowed him to play in this World Cup. A lot of folks don't realize he had a pretty vicious red card, a flagrant foul, if this were the NBA, a wild elbow that got him suspended for 3 games. And that suspension was also suspended so that he could play in these group stage games. Now, if Ronaldo were to get a red card, I think he might be past the probationary period. But basically, if he had gotten another red card in the group stage or in that first knockout game, he would have then faced a 4-game suspension. Like he was sort of on parole, as it were, with the punishment. And that is true with Balogun here. But to your point, the fact that it's Dave Portnoy, and plenty of people are going to have plenty of thoughts and feelings on Portnoy. You're probably right about all of them. But the thing is, 20 years ago, Portnoy is the #1 soccer hater in America. Not that he literally was, just that the person in his position, the sort of shock jock personality of sports world, pushing the envelope type guy, that guy hated soccer and made mocking it his personality. Who would have been the equivalent? I think Jim Rome, maybe, or somebody like that.
The closest I would come is probably like some combination of Jim Rome and Howard Stern from Total Reach.
Don't forget, Rush Limbaugh had his stint as a sports commentator in the radio space. So
also a noted soccer hater. Rush
Limbaugh. Yes.
Common thread here.
Yes. So, the fact that it's Portnoy, like, not mocking the decision, not, flippantly posting this out like, oh, I came across this, I guess some nerds are going to like this, like hyping it up, like building it up and things like that. Like, that is a moment where the sports mainstream and the soccer mainstream are the same thing. And that is what making it looks like, folks. I hate to tell you, but the counterculture era of soccer may have just died this morning.
Which, you know what? Good.
Yeah.
Good. Like, it served its purpose. The soccer as a counterculture thing served its purpose. But it was reaching a point, and we can probably dedicate an entire episode to this after the World Cup is over. We probably should, just because of the other portion of the discourse this week was a lot of, reasons I won't support MLS, even though I am excited that soccer is catching on with the general public in America. And here are my top 10 reasons why I will not watch a club local to me. I would rather get up in the morning and watch a club that I have no connection with, whose fans would probably think I'm a weirdo because I don't watch my local club that I support their club.
Yes.
But this is the era of the, hey, this is our thing, you can't be a part of this thing, needed to go away in soccer a long time ago. They call it gatekeeping. I think it's something more than that when it comes to the soccer space. But yeah, it's over, Johnny. It's not yours. It's not yours anymore. It belongs to all of us, for good and bad. It belongs to the best person you loved on social media who is now excited about soccer for the first time in their life. And it belongs to Dave Portnoy. And it belongs to everyone in between. And that is unquestionably good for the future of this sport, for the future of MLS, for the future of the national team. And, step 2 is keeping this going when it isn't just the World Cup, and keeping this sort of attention and translating this to some degree from breaking news about national team players to also, showing up for a Revs game or, not belittling the fact that we have a growing and increasingly quality National League here in this country that is producing a lot of the same players a lot of the players you're watching in the World Cup. That is producing players for other national teams, where other national teams are playing and sending their players here to play, and guys that are starting for the U.S. men's national team. ply their trade in MLS. And so this is a good thing. We can worry about step 2 later.
Yeah.
But for right now, today was a fun day for that regard.
Yeah. There's, and you're right to point this out. There's really sort of 2 stages to this, which is like soccer breaks into the mainstream and Major League Soccer breaks into the mainstream. And they are 2 very different things. And soccer was always going to have to come first before Major League Soccer. There was never a point, I don't think, where Major League Soccer was just going to break into the American sports consciousness and just leave the rest of soccer behind. And I think that is what we are seeing today, which is...
I'm actually curious what that would look like.
I think, and this is where I think they were trying to, I think it's that the league would have had so many rules, innovations, that it couldn't realistically be connected to the rest of the world of soccer, but was still a compelling sports entertainment product.
Right.
Where running penalty kicks, timeouts, things of that
Kick-ins
nature.
instead of throw-ins.
Yeah, I think you could have maybe, it probably looks more like TST than like the Premier League, but regardless, I think there's a world where soccer is certainly at a point where the sport, it has entered or is about to enter that mainstream. Now, where do people go to engage soccer, right? Like American football has dominated the American sports ecosystem for many, many years now, but people get it in a couple of different ways. College football and the NFL being the primary avenues there, but those are different things. A Mac fan is a different thing than a Giants fan in the NFL. Like these are different entities. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where these soccer folks go. Do they follow U.S. men's national team players at their clubs? Do they follow, the favorite players that they've seen at these other teams? Ideally, they support their local clubs. That makes the most sense. Yeah. But Chief, it all builds to this moment, Monday night, where Florian Balogun will be available. And let me just say, it was nonsense he got a red card. I didn't hear anybody argue that it should have been a red card, unless they were also arguing.
Well, importantly, I didn't hear a lot of former players think it was a red card. And I trust those opinions way more than your average fan or your social media personality or your commentariat online. Yeah. But virtually to a person, every former player that was like watching this and commented was no, not a red, no intent. Everything looks awful when you put it in slow motion. Bad decision.
So on that front, like just on the face of that, I'm fine. Balogun should have been in this game. And people have talked about, the creation of something like an orange card, right? Where maybe you are sent off for the rest of this game, but you're not suspended for future games or something like that. And that's kind of functionally what we got here. And now the United States will get to put its best foot forward against Belgium.
So I was thinking about this, actually. Is there a world where he doesn't start, even though he's available? Because I thought about this, that the national team has been operating under the assumption since the Bosnia match ended that they will not have Balogun available for this Belgium match. And they have presumably trained and tactically adjusted to play without him. And now on match day -1 in the early afternoon, early morning, they find out that he's back. And is it as simple? And I haven't seen a lot of former players or people that I would trust weighing in on this. Is it as simple as you just drop him back? You throw the playbook out for everything that you've been doing, training and preparing for Belgium. And it's okay. Well, we don't have to do that anymore. We've got Balogun here. Or are you doing yourself a disservice because you may have been asking players to do different things, and you may have had players preparing for different roles? Yeah. Maybe, you're asking Christian Pulisic to play a little more advanced, or you're asking Weston McKennie to play a little more advanced, or you're doing different things with your midfield in order to compensate for that. I don't know. Or is that overthinking it? Just put your best 11 out there and tell them roll the ball out. I don't know the answer to that question.
It's probably overthinking it. I guess it also depends on what sort of tactical wrinkle they were cooking up. If it was as simple as, well, we'll just throw Ricardo Pepi up there or Haji Wright or somebody and we'll just see what happens, then nothing really changes. You just go, oh, we'll put Balogun up there. That's great. If the plan was, okay, we'll actually roll out much the same shape, but Pulisic will move centrally up top and we'll put in Gio Reyna, Seb Berhalter, insert player here out left, and then Pulisic can sort of play a false nine, and we'll let's say Reyna have more freedom to cut in. Then I think you just go, well, Pulisic, you do whatever we were about to tell Reyna to do, and Balogun, you get back up there and do what you're going to do. I don't think there's a version where you wouldn't rather have Balogun on the field regardless. Now, maybe there's a situation where partway through the game, they decide to roll out this other look that they had been drilling, and maybe you do sub out Balogun for a Reyna, let's say, and you try a completely different shape up top. I don't know. But I think you're overthinking it. I would just go, best 11, it hasn't been broken yet. Let's keep going.
Right. So, I mean, he's in incredible form.
Yeah.
He's already a good player, but like he's a good player that is playing at about peak performance right now in this tournament. So I tend to agree that you put him out there and you just, whatever you've been working on for the last couple of weeks, if it's different, just bin it and say, hey, we have a day to adjust to this, and we spent today in meetings and we spent today in, tactical adjustments. These players are all very talented, play at very high level. If you can't figure this out in a day, then that's probably a bigger problem than anything else. He looked really good in the Bosnia match before he went out too.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a chance to talk about that because it happened on the same day that we record usually. And Kevin, you and I actually went and caught this game together at a local watering hole.
Yes.
It's interesting to me that how boring that game was in the best way, where it was the United States. They did what they set out to do. They defended well. They created attacking opportunities. They break through with a goal. And then when they go down a man, they push and they get a second goal. And at no point in that game did it feel like Bosnia had any chance of winning. And that is such a wild change from how this team has been my entire adult lifetime. And to me, of all the things this team has done in this tournament, even beating Paraguay, which it turns out
hard to do,
was probably a pretty damn impressive thing to score that many goals and make them look bad. The Bosnia match to me is, until it hopefully gets broken tomorrow, high watermark for soccer in the history of this national team, as far as I'm concerned. Am I overreacting on that?
No, I mean, this is, I said it before that game, and I'm tempted to say it again here ahead of this Belgium game, is that like the entire U.S. soccer project since hosting the World Cup in 1994 has been building to this moment. Getting the domestic league up and running, to keep it alive, to get it thriving, to knocking down stereotypes of American soccer players abroad so that these guys get opportunities, so that it's not weird that an American maybe starting at Chelsea, maybe starting at AC Milan, maybe starting at large French, Spanish, German teams, that is a commonality in this country, that we have a robust pipeline of coaches and academies that are getting youngsters trained up, and that the coaching program and the national program, I should say, is attractive enough to actually go out and recruit a sort of superstar manager candidate to come into the program, and to win over dual nationals that in the past was difficult. Looking at you, Florian Balogun, who I think was eligible for something like 45 countries on planet Earth. Every time I look at that eligibility list, there's one more country I forget he was also eligible for. all of this has been building to this moment. And the Landon Donovan goal in 2010, the 2014 World Cup that so many people fell in love with, the heartbreak of 2018, the anointing of the golden generation in 2022. It's all been building to these games. And to not only rise to meet the moment, but to meet the moment in a calm, cool, collected manner. It was not a scramble defense. It was not a smash and grab. I mean, I'm thinking back to the last time the U.S. played Belgium in the World Cup 2014. A lot of people have fond memories of that.
12.
Tim Howard stands on his head, sets the record for most saves in a World Cup match. It comes down to the Wondolowski miss, which if you go back and watch, it's not as bad as you felt in the moment. I promise you. I understand people don't want to go back and watch it. Not as bad. However, you feel
bad.
You feel that pain. But getting that goal, and had that been the winner, it would have been very much against the run of play. That would have been a team that absolutely did not deserve to advance. And I think about where we are now, where there's a quiet confidence going into this game, despite the friendly a couple of months ago. I'm not putting a lot of stock into that.
None.
And especially the way Belgium has been playing in this tournament so far, you have to feel pretty confident about it. Everything is leading to this where the United States has to win. They have laid the groundwork for a win, and a loss here, I think, is pretty detrimental to the program. And I mean, all of U.S. soccer at large. It's a bad mark for USL. It's a bad mark for college soccer. It's a bad mark for MLS. And obviously it's a bad mark for the national program. And I think they need to win. And I hope that the expectations are that high around the program. And I think they are, though. But Chief, I don't know, where do you stand on expectations and pressure for this game?
It's interesting because I was about to ask you the same question. I was about to say, what is a loss more devastating than a win is good, or is a win better than like that's sort of the internal debate I'm having, because it feels like a win on Monday is the biggest moment in the history of the U.S. men's national team. A loss on Monday feels like one of the worst things that could happen in the history of the U.S. men's national team. To have all this momentum and to have everybody behind you on your home soil.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know that like it is such a, like, it would be one thing, like if it was a game that they're supposed to win. Right. That they're absolutely supposed to win. That it's like, oh my God, like how could you lose to Trinidad and Tobago? This is gonna be a tough game.
Yeah.
But like it feels like the stakes are just so massive.
Yeah.
And it's why it does feel like everything has been building to this moment. And specifically with this point too, is that this is the moment and this is the reason why you have a manager like Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah.
It's because Greg Berhalter has no idea what this moment is like. Greg Berhalter has never had a moment like this. God love him. Bruce Arena has never had a moment like this. Klinsmann maybe has been a part of stuff like this. But like, this is for the United States that without hyperbole, this is their Champions League final. This is their FA Cup final. This is you're not going to win the World Cup by winning this game, but you're going to make this a successful World Cup that this federation and this team and this country has been building towards since they were selected to host. Because it's funny. There was a world that we were looking at 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, where there's a worry that this team shows up and gets dumped out of the group stage because of how inconsistent things looked. I mean, those last couple matches with Berhalter, you're thinking, oh my God, they've got 2 years to figure this out. or they're going to squander the biggest opportunity for the sport and for the program and for the future of the effort, because they've screwed this all up. And the 360 to, or the 180 to where we are right, the 180 to where we are right now, unreal. And a large part of that is because they brought in a manager who understands the idea of, look, the type of pressure that this is the same type of pressure you face in the Premier League or playing in Champions League. Yeah. It's hard to replicate that. Yeah. And I do think that, like, this moment was purpose built for what Pochettino brings to the team, I think.
I'd agree with that. We've also been lucky enough to have a lot of these players have those moments in those biggest games as well at the club level, which this is where that entire project pays dividends. And to get back to your question, Chief, I do think the reward is larger than the punishment, as it were. I think winning will be a greater boon than losing will be. It may also depend on the quality loss. I think a loss in penalties will do a lot of good versus getting, beat 4-0 could take the program backwards a little bit. But I do think a win here, the last game against Bosnia was already the #1 most watched soccer program in U.S. history. I think just like flat out, and no reason to think this wouldn't be bigger.
It'll absolutely be bigger.
Right.
Monday Night Football in Seattle. Yeah, it's going to be bigger.
It's kind of the prime perfect time as well. Yeah. Like, it doesn't get better. Belgium will be, it'll have enough names that your casual soccer fans will recognize from around Europe, from around especially the Premier League. I do think that there's so much to be gained here that U.S. soccer needs. Like, it needs this to justify everything that it's done up to this point. And a win here really gets you to start believing in how many games are left before a trophy to race and who's exactly in your way. And you start doing the math and you think, well, maybe, just maybe.
Right. Let's talk about this Belgian team a little, because it is so funny. Like, the script writers could not have done this up better. That this was sort of, if you're of any age in this country to remember like past World Cups, I would say that that 2014 World Cup, what was it, 12 years ago, 2014? Yeah. That 2014 World Cup is kind of like a flashbulb memory for most soccer fans in this country. I mean, if you go back to South Korea, we won a knockout stage game with Mexico. I mean, you got to be pretty old to remember that. I remember it because I am pretty old. But for most people in this country that are the prime age of soccer fans in this country, and I'm talking, you're in your late 20s, early 30s, you're the type of people that are in the Bailey, if you're in FC Cincinnati, or you're in the Timbers Army, or you're fighting and winning in Seattle or whatever it is. If that's you, then that 2014 game probably sits pretty heavy in your mind. And that Chris Wondolowski miss that you were talking about sits pretty heavy in your mind. That, 15 save performance or 16 save performance from Tim Howard sits heavy in your mind. There's a lot of the same players on this Belgium team. I mean, Romelu Lukaku still on this team. Kevin De Bruyne still on this team. Thibaut Courtois still on this team. I was looking at the lineup the last time that these two teams played, just to try and see who isn't still around. And it's a who's who of guys where it's like, God, I hated that guy. Fellaini from Manchester United with his giant, stupid hair.
Yep.
And awful, fouling. Vincent Kompany, hated him. Hated him. I'm a Chelsea man, so Eden Hazard, you can never say a bad word about him. He was awesome too. But
was Axel Witsel still on that team?
Axel Witsel was absolutely still on that team. Yes.
He's back this time around as well.
Yeah. So,
man,
It's a lot of the same teams, and that's kind of been, if you've watched Belgium during this tournament, what you have seen from Belgium, I think, is that they are a team where you can very much see the mileage on the tires with a lot of these players. There's still a lot of quality on the field. Like, they're still capable of punishing you if you turn the ball over poorly, or if you let them use the physical tools that they have. Lukaku can still muscle his way to a goal. We saw that in the first match that he subbed onto. But in a weird sort of way, I said this about when we played Australia. We were playing sort of a mirror version of what the U.S. national team used to look like, where it's we're gonna out physical, we're gonna outrun you, we're going to just out grit you to a win. Yeah. So they were playing sort of their Ghost of Christmas Past. With this game, they're playing their Ghost of Christmas Future, which is a Belgian team that was part of a golden generation that did not live up to the promise. In a lot of ways, this is kind of like if you're Christian Pulisic or you're Weston McKennie or you're Tyler Adams, or you're part of this group that was called the golden generation. You're looking at another team where they didn't get the job done, and now they're coming back in their 30s and, continuing to try to give it another go, to sort of diminishing returns with each potential World Cup. So I find this matchup as a whole incredibly fascinating.
The narratives are off the charts, and I'm glad you brought up the sort of golden generation in ascendancy and golden generation in decline, because I do think it's a fascinating parallel of, unheralded soccer countries with, their supporters will absolutely sing the praises of the domestic league, but doesn't get a lot of respect elsewhere. They've had a lot of guys go on to play in big leagues. It's a lot of parallels. Just Belgium was, doing it about 10 years earlier. And yet you look at their performance in this tournament and they draw against Egypt. They draw against Iran. Sure, they beat New Zealand 5-1, but New Zealand's the sort of mid-major auto bid that plays in the 16v16 play-in game. It barely counts as a World Cup, dude. We just got to throw a bone to the entire Pacific Ocean. And then, they struggle against Senegal mightily. And it was a little controversial that they even got through that one as well. It's very easily, and maybe should have been, Senegal versus the United States again. So I feel quietly confident going into this game. Chief, where do you sit? Sort of give or take, what are we, 28 hours before?
Nervous?
Yeah.
Just natural nerves. I looked at it last night. Most of the betting sites have the United States as a slight favorite, which is just a wild thing to tell yourself. You want to go back to the Wayback Machine after the Copa and say that, okay, when the World Cup happens 2 years later, the United States will be in the knockouts and a favorite against Belgium in the round of 16.
And on a hell of a run, yeah.
Yeah. With Dave Portnoy breaking news about red card suspensions being overturned. It's like, no, COVID didn't come back. We're fine. We're somewhat fine. Don't ask us about the reflecting pool, but you'll get to that. You'll learn all about that later.
It's a whole thing.
It got wacky. Don't for a summer. Don't worry about it. So I feel nervous just because this is a team that, on paper, given the age, given the player, profiles involved between the two teams, I think the U.S. matches up well with this team. I think that what they want to do, I feel better about our center backs against someone like Lukaku coming in late in the game and bullying someone to a goal. Yeah. I feel better about that. I feel better about Tyler Adams being able to mark Kevin De Bruyne at his age than I do Kevin De Bruyne's ability to break through our defense. And I think that they're going to have a problem with some of the speed that the United States has, especially from Freeman making runs and Pulisic making runs. Having said that, the problem that this team is going to pose for the United States is that if the United States gets loose with it, which they've shown that they've done a couple of times in this tournament, if the United States gets loose with it, there are players on this Belgian team like Kevin De Bruyne that can punish you for mistakes with their technical ability. And that is what I worry about. I worry that in these knockout stage games where, look, at this level, you are not going to be winning a game 3-0 or even 2-0. We saw this yesterday with France having to grind out a result against Paraguay. Like, these are tough matchups in these games. Teams play incredibly close to the vest. I do worry about a game going scoreless for an extended amount of time, and that it just taking an individual moment of brilliance from an aging superstar that litter this Belgian roster being there for the game-changing moment. And I worry about that from the perspective of a United States fan.
Yeah, the superpower that this U.S. team has had all World Cup has been scoring early. And
getting on teams. Yeah.
Changing the way these teams are going to approach, where they can't sit back and hope to win it late, or wear you down, super sub, break through, where they change the script, they change the game state so quickly that the other team has to play out of their shell. They did this to Paraguay, and then you can exploit the gaps in between, and they've got talented players that can do that. The defense has held strong so far. Tim Ream's not exactly the youngest man out on that field either. So there's certainly reasons to be concerned. However, and
you're seeing that as with Ream specifically, what you are seeing with a lot of these tournament matches is that they're coming faster in the knockout stages. You don't have that week off between games like we were seeing in the group stages. And, if you were watching the game that was played in Kansas City on Friday night, I want to say that was
Ghana, Colombia?
No, Ghana, Colombia was last night. It was, God, I'm gonna die. Fact check me on this. But like, you're seeing a lot of players going down. Ghana, Colombia was like this too. You're seeing more players going down with fatigue related injuries and muscle related injuries. And the heat that we are experiencing in these continental United States right now is not helping in that regard. So, I do worry that there's a lot of mileage on the tires specifically for some of these players. And the one thing that I also worry about in that regard is that for a lot of these teams, or for a lot of these players in the United States, they've run a ton. Like, I think there was a stat that came out that said that this United States team has run more than, at least in the first through the first group stages in the first knockout match, that they've run a greater distance than any other team that they have played so far. And or run it more than any other team playing in the tournament. So they are putting a lot of mileage on their tires, which I don't feel great about, if we're being honest.
Yeah. So, I mean, nice thing is Seattle, it shouldn't be blistering hot. It's not one of the indoor stadiums.
It was Ghana, Colombia. It's just been, there's so much soccer lately. I've just been field look a little rough too.
It's all good. I was on local radio this morning, and I kept referring to the team that the U.S. played as Paraguay instead of Bosnia. So I feel you. It all jumbles up.
So it's going to be interesting to see the fitness level of the United States. They've run pretty hard this tournament. Ream has run pretty hard. I don't know if we've got a weather report from Seattle right now, but if it's as hot as it's been around, these parts, Pochettino has been kind of shy on the subs list. I don't think he went to the bench in Bosnia until pretty late.
Yeah.
Especially on defense. They're going to have to be willing, if they get a lead in this game, they're going to have to be willing to make some choices in order to see a close game out, which might force them to rely on their bench just to keep fresh legs going because of how many games and how much this tournament has impacted players what it's taken out of them to play in this kind of humidity.
Yeah. Looks like we got a high of 81. Humidity should be peaking around 50%. That's a UV index.
That's delightful compared to the Midwest of this country right now.
Yeah, UV index 8 out of 11. Air quality, it's showing nice and green and good. It should be fine.
Yeah, apparently they didn't set off 800,000 pounds worth of explosives like they did in DC last night.
You're lost, Seattle.
All right, Kevin. So if the United States wins this game, what player or what is it that's going to bring the United States a victory in this?
Man, it's funny. Before the suspension was suspended, I would have said this is Christian Pulisic's moment to step up. But now I think it has to be Balogun. Through all of this, you've got to deliver. This can't be a game where you lay an egg and you miss a sitter or you miss a penalty late in the game or something like that. Like, this has to be Balogun's game. And I hope that Belgium fans are deeply and generationally upset by FIFA's correct decision to let Flo free.
Let your flow fly.
Who are you looking to Seattle win here?
I think it's got to be the midfield. I think it's got to be Dest, it's got to be Adams, and it's got to be McKinney.
Yeah.
And I think that because where Belgium can tactically hurt you is these are all elite players with elite field vision and elite passing where the physical skills are in decline. And you've got to be closing out players, not offering them time and space on the ball, because, time and space will kill you when you've seen everything in this game. And if you're not forcing them into decisions to physical decisions that their bodies are incapable of doing at this age and at this level of sort of the tournament, you're going to get punished for that. And similarly, if you're turning the ball over in your midfield and giving teams opportunities for quick rushes off the counter press, I think that's going to be a problem as well. So I think this is the game where Weston McKennie has to step up and be a general in the middle of this field. He's been very good in this tournament, quietly very, very good. But this has to be his I'm him moment in terms of commanding the midfield and creating space and opportunities for his teammates, while also being able to defend and prevent Belgium from getting into opportunities where the old man game can benefit them.
Yeah. God,
I'm so excited.
This is going to be a stressful watch.
Because the stakes have never been higher for this team. They have never been higher. And this is as far as they've gone since the 1930s. There's a crazy stat too. Pochettino is the winningest coach in United States men's national team history. That's insane. In one, I know it's a bigger tournament, but in one tournament, he has won more World Cup games than Bruce Arena, Jurgen Klinsmann, Bob Bradley. Like, these are guys where we consider them to be like titans. These guys felt like they coached forever.
Yeah.
And Poch shows up and he's like, what, this is hard?
Just singing John Denver on his way to record after record.
Throwing BP fastballs out for the Seattle Mariners. I don't know. Like,
that was cute. That was a fun moment, and I like that. There's some good videos behind the scenes of I think it was Matt Turner teaching him how to hold the ball, how to set yourself.
Get a little wind up. Yeah. It's a thing. Good. It's a thing. Like, if you don't if you just follow American sports, watching foreigners try to throw a baseball is hilarious, and you realize that unless you're from a country where they play baseball, the throwing motion for a baseball is so not universal to the human experience.
Well, also, just your favorite pitcher is out this year again for surgery would also be an indication that it's not normal.
Yeah.
I went on a little bit of a rabbit hole trying to find who is the best Argentinian baseball player of all time. And the answer I've come up with is there isn't one. I can't find evidence of an Argentinian ever playing in Major League Baseball or even minor league baseball. So
surely one must exist.
I was probably wrong about the minor league baseball, but man,
Right.
like nobody's made it to the majors. And I figured they'd be one had to have snuck their way through, but it's tough.
If they win this game, do you throw the bag at Pochettino at this point, or has he already earned throw the bag at him status? Because there were some rumors circulating around last week that they've already approached him about running this for a second World Cup cycle. He's only been on the job for 2 years, so it's not like he's had a full four.
Yeah.
Has he already done enough? Because this game right here that we're in right now, the U.S. has been to this stage before in modern history. We were here in South Korea, and they lost to Germany, I want to say, in South Korea.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you want to look at this, right? So round of 16 knockout round, yes, we were here in 2014 against Belgium. Second knockout stage, yes, then you go to 2002, beat Mexico, play Germany, lose to Germany.
So like we're in the, I consider here to be, we have won a knockout game.
Yeah. Okay.
And advanced to a second knockout game. The United States hasn't won a second knockout game ever. I don't know, 1930. I don't know how big the tournament was then.
Yeah.
I got to look that up.
Let's see, because it was weird. There were like two groups, right, and only a couple of teams.
And like one of the teams got knocked out because Germany invaded their country and they ceased to exist. Like,
yeah. Okay, so there were 4 groups. 3 of the groups had 3 teams. 1 of the groups had 4 teams, and that made a knockout bracket of just 4 teams. The group winners all advanced. The United States advanced out of a group with, let me know if you've heard of these countries, Paraguay and Belgium.
Hello. Dude, this is an old school rivalry. We're talking like,
yes,
we're talking Notre Dame Navy here. This is going back a ways.
We beat Belgium 3-0 in
God, that would rule.
July 13th, 1930. Chief, the second goal scorer in that game is literally a man named Thomas Flory, who I'm sure went by Flo with some of his friends. So how about that? However, yes, that meant...
No. It was the 1930s. So he probably went by some nickname like, Four Eyes O'Houlihan or some shit like that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But the bracket was only 4 teams. It was Uruguay versus Yugoslavia, where Uruguay won, and we lost to Argentina 6-1. Retroactively, FIFA has awarded us 3rd place. There was not officially a 3rd place game then, but based on goal differential and goals scored out of the group stage, we have been retroactively awarded 3rd place.
See, FIFA's been putting their fingers on the scale for us for going back, 100 years.
Yeah, so we're tight.
So this is the furthest we've been here before. Yeah. The next step will be officially the most the World Cup the United States has ever done at the World Cup. Yeah. So where are you at on Poch?
Look, win this one, and I'm all for throwing the bag. We lose this one, I'll consider it, but I'm not making him the king's ransom. I'll probably make him my first choice, no doubt. I fully understand and expect him to move elsewhere, again, unless he gets a blank check signed, but it's not going to be the end all be all for me. I think that there's enough coaching talent in the world that we'll be fine for the next go round. If he's not interested, win this game, I'm moving heaven and earth to keep him in the program.
Yeah. Did you see the Tom Rinaldi piece that they did on him where they went down and interviewed his parents?
No.
It was really good.
Aww.
It's online. You can find it online, but like,
okay,
his dad is, he was raised on a farm, so his parents are like salt of the earth type people, and his mom is like crying that her son is now like went to America, and she's so proud that he went to the United States and he's coaching in the United States, which like is touching on one hand, but it does make me wonder if like they were like, you know, oh, just Spurs. When are you going to get out of England and go to a real country?
Look, people don't want to hear this. That sentiment is ultimately what MLS has over Europe, where like we know as soccer fans, like, oh yeah, playing in the Bundesliga, playing in Italy is a big deal. But to your mom and dad back home in the little farm community that nobody outside of that community can pronounce, they want to see you do well in America, and they don't care if that's Kansas City or Portland, right. Oregon. They hear USA, they're very proud of you, son.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they may have watched like, you know, whatever it was on, what was the show? Downton Abbey, dubbed into whatever language it was. They may have watched that. They've damn sure watched The Avengers. They've damn sure watched American culture and consumed American culture. Yeah. Leverage the shit out of that.
Oh man.
I am so excited. I am so nervous. I'm so happy for this team. I'm not as happy for like USMNT Twitter, because some of the worst people you know are on that. But I am happy for just like people who are very normal fans of this country and of the soccer team in this country, because this has been, win or lose on Monday, this has been a tremendously uniting thing for this country.
Yeah.
In a way that we seldom get, because it's in a way that we're probably not going to get for a while. I mean, I, you know, God knows what the future holds. I mean, Christ, go back. You go back to the last time this team played Belgium 12 years ago, and you just debrief yourself on what's coming in the next 12 years. A lot of y'all might just choose to, hey, how about that cryogenic freezing chamber that Walt Disney had? Can I just freeze myself and skip all this shit? They're removing the disk drive from PlayStation. How dare they?
Grand Theft Auto 6 costs how much?
Yeah, they're only up to 6. What's taking so long?
Yeah, you used to get one of these a year.
Right. Is the bowling still in? Do I still have to go bowling with Roman? But like, you know, there's not a lot left in this country that is monoculture like this, that brings us all together, that everyone sort of hops on and they get into. Like even the US Olympic hockey team, like everyone was into that, but not to this level.
Yeah.
Not this much. And if this happens again in 4 years at the World Cup, it'll be cool. But these games will be played at weird times. Not weird. They'll be on a 6-hour time difference, 7-hour time difference with the with Europe. So you're not going to get everyone together experiencing this. Like these games, you might have to stay up till, you know, weird times, or wake up at weird times to watch them, which, you know, we all do because we're soccer fans. We're used to that. But you're not going to get your buddy in the next cubicle down that works in accounting to ask you how the game was. They're not going to be back into this. They might be. That'd be great for the sport. But it's happening in our country, on our home soil, at times we can all watch and everybody's into it. And I think that win or lose, I hope that what everybody does tomorrow is they remember how cool of an experience this was, that we all got together for something. It just doesn't happen as much anymore.
Oh, and that's such an important point, Chief. And I would just emphasize that to anybody and everybody listening. Watch with as many people as you can. This is not a solo activity. Don't watch on a phone. Okay, go to a bar. If you don't drink, that's fine. Bars, get this. They sell soda. They sell non-alcoholic drinks. Like you got options. Okay. If you've got a public square that's doing this, great. If it's a Buffalo Wild Wings, which is where I ended up watching Cape Verde, Argentina, the game's on everywhere. It's a great experience and people are into it. Okay. So like if you can, please, by all means, get out and watch this in public. These are communal moments. The games feel so much better in a group of people, and you will not be disappointed. So,
amen to that.
Yeah. Should we talk about a little bit more of this tournament and get us out of here?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Right. We are back, and Chief, oh man, we finally have a moment to catch our breath. We actually adjusted our typical recording schedule because I, like you, was eyeing the England-Mexico game going, I'm not recording a podcast during that.
There ain't no chance I'm recording a podcast during that game. And let's start with this right here, because there's so much to talk about with the World Cup. And since you brought it up, I have to ask you.
Okay.
Am I alone in this feeling where I see people online suggesting they are going to be rooting for Mexico over England, and I want to reach through my phone and strangle them? Look, I love the Mexican people. I love the country of Mexico. I got really baked the other night and started thinking about what the idea would be like if we had a Eurozone where there was just free trade and transit between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And we like one currency, like figure this shit out. Like we're all in this together. We should be a lot more aligned geopolitically than we are. There was a lot of edibles involved in this, but I had a working model I thought in my head that worked out. Look,
this is good.
No shade. Love the Mexican people. Love the country of Mexico. Their soccer team can go die in a fire, and their soccer fans can go die in a fire. I hate all of these people. I hate El Tri. I don't believe you can truly be a United States men's national team fan and have any room in your heart for anything other than hatred for the Mexican national team. The video of Landon Donovan, Mexico is my other team, was a meme for a reason, because that was profoundly offensive to anyone that has spent a minute in this space. So if I see people online that are cheering for Mexico over England, I don't care what the circumstances are. I don't care if you're Scottish or Irish by birth and heritage. Unless you're living in one of those places, I do not need anyone on my timeline being here for El Tri continuing this tournament. Does this make me a bad person?
I don't think it makes you a bad person. I think you're embracing the rivalry and the sports rivalry the way it is meant to be embraced. And for that, you should be saluted. I will just offer not a rebuttal, but a slight twist, a slight variation on what you're offering, which is I can appreciate the scenario playing out tonight like this. England is made up of the best and brightest of the Premier League, especially. These are very well taken care of teams, very well taken care of players. They make tons of money. They play on the nicest fields, the nicest pitches, and they have been generally very successful, both with their national team. They've done well in the Euros recently. They don't have a lot of trophies to show for it. I understand that. They got more to show than Mexico does, for example. Fair. So I think there is a sick pleasure in watching a team like England. And to be clear, I'm not necessarily picking on England. I think Germany, France, Spain, Italy national teams, the Dutch national team would have just as easily fallen into this, but England probably sits above all the rest of them on this list, and so therefore it's extra funny that it's them. But for them to have to come to CONCACAF, where MLS teams have had to deal with these conditions, the United States has had to deal with these conditions, and not just in Mexico, going to play on the road in Honduras or Nicaragua or Costa Rica, where, yes, your hotel is bombarded with fireworks and fire alarms are set off and car horns are blazing or blaring all throughout the night. And you have to play in Mexico City, which, look, I love you, Mexico City. Air quality's not great, and it's at an extremely high altitude, and it is very difficult to play. These are conditions that the U.S. has played in time and time and time and time again and lost, and those losses are reasons why Europeans are able to then look at the United States and look down on the U.S. program. And so there's a sick joy in watching the best and brightest of England come into CONCACAF and have to deal with all of these circumstances and are absolutely aghast at the conditions of what they are finding. And I'm not necessarily rooting for Mexico, But I don't know that you're going to find me rooting for England. I don't know if that convinces you, but that's sort of a part of my mindset going into this game as well.
So you're just looking for the opportunity at the end of this to get on the Bird app and say, see, it's hard.
Not so easy, is it? Right. Yes, that's all I want.
These people suck. This stadium sucks. Welcome to what we deal with every qualifying cycle.
Yeah, wasn't that terrifying? Right. I'll try doing that a couple of times a year.
Yeah, must be nice not having to deal with this all the time with annoying neighbor next door that gets really into this.
Look, this is like when, like the big Western European teams have to play at Partizan or Besiktas or, the club in Legia Warsaw where they have
Galatasaray or something like that.
They have the intense fan and stadium environments, and like the Arsenal fans are like, oh dear Lord, what are they doing? Yes, that's MLS teams going to play at the Azteca, which is the home, at least was the home of two club teams in Mexico and in Monterrey and elsewhere. So, I want them to get in the pigsty with us and see what it's like.
You gotta be in here with us, man.
That's what I like. That is what has filled me with joy with this game, because in my mind, I view this almost as win-win, which is like, if England wins, yes, they have vanquished our rivals, and this is great. And if Mexico wins, you can think, well, U.S. has had mixed results in Mexico. Feel pretty good about that now.
Right. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, enemy of my enemy. I get that completely.
Yeah.
There has been so much going on in this tournament, though. Let's start with this. Cape Verde, heroes of the tournament. Undoubtedly, no matter what happens from this point forward, it's Cape Verde's tournament. It's Cape Verde's world. You heard about Cape Verde first on the World's Gam. We previewed, we selected them as a team that I think that we think you should watch on this. Damn it, it's fun to be right about that. That was an electric game. Goal of the tournament for me. Scored there to tie it up. Just an absolute banger of a goal. I don't think there was a soul outside of Argentina and the biggest Messi stands in the world that were rooting for Argentina in that game.
No.
We were debating on a different group thread. Would that have been the biggest upset in sports history if Cape Verde would have knocked Argentina out of the tournament in the round of 32? It
almost has to be. I mean, obviously your mind goes to like Leicester City winning the Premier League, but
that's winning over the course of a league. Yeah. There have been improbable winners of things, but Leicester City was still a Premier League team when they won the Premier League. I'm going to shit like Appalachian State beating Michigan in like a regular season game, or Boise State beating Oklahoma.
USMNT over Virginia.
That's the level this is. I still think that the difference between Cape Verde and Argentina, look, Cape Verde's got some great players. They've got some guys that are holding a couple of passports that include Portugal as a result of ethical colonization, I think we would have to say, since there was no one living there at the time. But you're talking about knocking the defending champions out and Lionel Messi out from a nation that's got 550,000 people living there.
At a minimum, it was the largest gap of FIFA ranked opponents in the knockout rounds ever in the World Cup. So from an objective objective perspective, it would have been the biggest World Cup upset of all time in the knockout rounds. I have to agree with you. Like the quality disparity is nuts. Like, I think on paper, Argentina's best player is Lionel Messi, generally considered the best player of all time. Cape Verde's best player on paper might be Steven Moreira, the pretty good right back for the Columbus Crew. Like the goalkeeper, which has been, getting all of the accolades of the world as he should, is a
unsigned.
Unsigned, was previously the second division of Portugal goalkeeper for like a team that finished mid-table. I don't know. Like it's not jumping off the page of like, my God, a diamond in the rough. Like
nothing to that effect at all.
No. And Yeah, the way they did it as well
They
was
went after
incredible.
him. They went after him, which I love. I love they didn't just sit back and play for like, oh, we're gonna muck this up.
Yeah,
and
looking at you, Paraguay.
Paraguay, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna put you in the contraption for 90 minutes and hope that like you can make it out the other side with a go to PKs. No. There were 3 goals were scored in this game in extra time. Like that's incredible. Like any team in the world, any other team in the world is bunkering like hell.
Yeah.
But like, no, they went after it. I love it. I loved everything about that. I'm sad they had to go out that way, but dude, like I was just at a bar watching this game. I was having dinner with my wife, and the watching people in the bar slowly sort of like get into this game. Like, oh wait, they're hanging in there. To where like everyone's going, oh, like every time there's a shot or there's a tackle. And the booing when Argentina went ahead was life affirming. That everyone had just said, we all just become Cape Verde fans right here. You sure did.
Yep.
Can any of us point to it on the map? Well, I can because I did the homework, but
yes. What I love about this too is Cape Verde went out of their way to sort of disprove 2 hater narratives. One was, oh my God, the expanded field has let in teams like Cape Verde. They don't deserve to be on the same field. And it's like, well, no, actually, turns out they're pretty good. And when you give some of these other countries the opportunity, they can play soccer too, and they can dip into the diaspora as well, and it makes for a lot of fun. Curacao was a similar story as well, and the other was, oh my God, Argentina has just been handed the easiest bracket of all time. It's like, well, pretty big speed bump to start things off.
Yeah, that's why they play the games, and I was already sold on a 64 team World Cup before this, but like I'm ready to fight you if we don't get that the next go around.
Seriously, like the only thing that would have happened is you would have had more group stage games. And I think you could have done them, depending on how you wanted to do it, a little quicker. You could have staggered the starts a little bit, at least for the first week to try to churn it. But once you get to the knockout rounds, it's the same size. So like this piece of it would be unchanged.
If they'd have gone to 64 teams, you also probably could have done a better job with like regionalizing, at least in the United States, the tournament, so that like there's less travel for all these games. But like, who's going to bitch about more soccer? Like, great, we can add, every night can have a midnight kickoff. That would be electric. That would have been awesome.
Yes. And you're telling me like teams that just barely missed that like would water down the tournament. Like this tournament would be worse with Nigeria and Italy and Denmark. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I think it would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. With the way the African teams have showed out at this tournament. Yeah. Give me Togo. Give me, give me Kenya. Give me any of these teams. Like, this would have been fun. So I loved that. I think the second biggest story of the round of 32, for me at least, was the Thursday game, Portugal versus Croatia. And are we ready to say that the fix was in at the end of this game? I know that the Balogun news has kind of like taken the trophy, the baton for naked FIFA corruption perhaps occurring. They seem to have found a very convenient way to keep Cristiano Ronaldo in the tournament for another round on what I thought was kind of a suspect, not kind of, some incredibly suspect officiating at the end of that game.
Yeah, I'm out on VAR. I always have been, but like the more VAR is implemented, the less I'm interested in seeing it implemented. Like the goal of VAR is so that there are no more like argued calls, and like that hasn't changed. We're just officiating the games twice. You might as well just have 2 referees out on the field just patrolling, and then just they argue amongst themselves when something happens. Like that's essentially what we have now. They're going to point to the ball technology, and if you go back and look at any of the videos that they paid influencers to do with the ball technology and the sensors, like What the explanation is does not line up with the data that they showed briefly and then refused to show us again.
Oh, the heartbeat monitor of where the ball was. So I'm saying to myself, being like, if they can really do this, why is the NBA not have this for these out of bounds plays where we're wondering, did somebody actually touch the ball? If it's that damn accurate.
Yep. So I don't buy it. And yeah, of course they want Ronaldo. Ronaldo versus Yamin Lamal is going to be an exciting matchup. I'm shocked they didn't try to finagle it so that Portugal had to face Argentina somewhere earlier in this tournament instead of hoping one of them, or both of them, I should say, make the final. But they're going to keep their boy in this as long as possible.
Yeah. It did give rise to an incredible GIF that's going around the internet of a Croatian fan. She's just screaming, "Fuck you!"
Yes,
which I will get a lot of mileage out of that. That's been bookmarked and saved for future reference. I don't think it was an ethical finish because I don't think Portugal deserved to win this game. I don't think they played better than Croatia. This game should have at least gone to penalties, which is where Cristiano Ronaldo thrives as a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out on VAR. I'm out on VAR for a number of reasons. I'm out on all I'm okay with VAR for legitimately is if you want to use it, if it gets the ability to where you can tell me within 20 seconds, the same amount of time that MLB does the pitch challenges where it appears on the video board. If you can tell me within that amount of time that a player is on or off using your automated thing, here for it. Yeah. Quick, move on. But the second we have to go to a monitor to look at something, I'm done. I have no time for it. I don't care. I don't like it. To me, the simplest fix for officiating in soccer, and I've said this for a while, is you need to add a second match official or even a third match official to the field, split them into different like areas of the field that they have to cover, or add a second AR on each side so that there's two ARs on each side. Just put more eyes on the game and call fouls that you see on the field. But between this and Balogun, where they, I think it's pretty clear at this point that they misused VAR by offering the match official a slow motion replay and a freeze frame on the injury or the tackle or the contact. I'm just out on it. I don't think it has not made the World Cup better for VAR. I don't think it makes soccer better. It certainly hasn't made the World Cup better.
The only VAR essentially comes about because of Zidane's headbutt in 2006 when if a lot of folks don't really understand exactly what happened with that moment, he does the headbutt, the infamous headbutt. The ref's back was to the incident, didn't see it at all. The Italian players point to the replay happening on the monitor, and that's what got Zidane the red card. Not at all how the game is supposed to be played, but you can understand VAR being used for an egregious moment, essentially assault being committed,
or something you can point to the video board and it's very easy to see from field level on a jumbotron.
Exactly. So I'm open to conversations about they get two looks at it from a camera angle of VAR's choice, but they get two looks at it at full game speed. And if it's obvious what happened there, great. And if not, not. And maybe that's a monitor, or maybe, like you said, just use the big screen in the stadium. Maybe that's good enough in some of these cases. I don't know, but something to speed it up, because I hate the thief of joy moment every time a goal is scored. I want to celebrate, but I have to hesitate. And then I am always the first one, because as I'm celebrating, I'm looking at the linesman. I'm always the first one in the stands no, sorry guys, it's offside. I hate being the buzzkill.
It's no, man, the flag's up. Everything you thought was cool is dumb. You feel dumb for celebrating right now, I'll bet. Dumb on you.
We can go back and adjudicate these things with suspensions and fines and cards after the fact. I think that would be fine. But yeah.
I agree completely.
How about this one for you, Chief? I think Morocco, Netherlands, and that penalty shootout, and then Morocco's subsequent demolishing of Canada. I think the Netherlands has to hand over its blue blood card to Morocco. I think this is the moment where the Netherlands has sort of lost its place in global football to Morocco. Maybe that's permanent, but at least for the near future, because Morocco is a team absolutely in the ascendancy, and the Netherlands is in the wilderness right now.
Yeah, the Netherlands. What's funny about the Netherlands is, did you? I don't know if you watched the ending to that game. They go back to studio, and that is about as hard as I've ever heard a studio analyst for a soccer product in the United States go after a team. And I don't disagree with it. Like, they eviscerated that Netherlands team for abandoning the style that they should be playing with. It was pretty brutal, but I agree with your point on Morocco. Morocco has been an incredible watch. What has been surprising to me about Morocco in this tournament is that no moment has looked too big for them so far. And I think they got a benefit in that when they played Canada, that game was played, I think, in like Dallas or Houston or Los Angeles. My brain is turning to mush with all these places. Where it wasn't was in Canada. And so
Houston, Texas.
Yeah. So it made it so that like it was a more of a traditional World Cup venue in terms of that, like, you know, a lot of Moroccan fans, a lot of casual fans, but not a lot of Canadian fans, because I think that would have potentially changed things a little bit. But I agree with you on the Netherlands. And I do think that like part of the story of this World Cup is that the line of demarcation between the top sides in Europe and that second tier that has sort of been coasting along on reputation from UEFA for a while, we're starting to see a lot more stratification. And I feel like the pack is catching up to that second tier of Europe. And I'm looking specifically at Netherlands. I'm looking at, hopefully, Belgium, Portugal to a certain extent. You know, the teams in that tier, Italy, that if you're not
Austria
part of this,
and Sweden were on the receiving end of some pretty big beatdowns by their bigger brothers, but they didn't really stand a chance. Right.
And even within Europe, like you're seeing now, and I think it's largely on the back of one incredibly larger than life Viking, but like Norway has caught up to sort of continental Europe a little bit. Now, all of these teams are still a fair peg below your France, Spain, and I would even put England in there as your sort of big three. Germany, when they're not doing what they're doing right now, but even Germany fallen back a little bit as well. Like that, you want to talk about a country that needs a blue blood check in. You look at Germany's performance over the last couple of World Cups; it has not been remarkable by any stretch of the imagination.
No, since 2014, they have not advanced past the round of 16.
Right. Lose they draw to Paraguay, lose on penalties. Just an awful penalty shootout too between these two teams. Like a question of like who wants to lose more.
Yes.
On that. I don't know. It's been fascinating in that regard to watch this play out in real time. And I think that's also part of the reason why I am so in favor of the expanded World Cup, because I think global soccer, global football is flattening a little bit, especially around the middle. And I think that's good for the game. And it's made this World Cup just an incredibly compelling watch. I mean, even like you go back to like, Japan, Brazil.
Oh, like, yeah.
Japan didn't look out of place on that field against a Brazil team that we all think has a decent shot to win the entire tournament. And Japan hangs with them. They don't look out of place.
No. And Japan is sort of representing all of Asia, which unfortunately did have a bad showing in this tournament, to the point where we're getting reports that the South Korean manager had to flee the country because the president of the country is opening an inquiry as to how he was even hired. And I believe it was one of their main news stations even blurred out his face on the broadcast.
So I guess the question is, Kevin, does the SEC need to invite South Korea in for membership into the conference? Because this is prime Southeastern Conference sicko behavior going on right here. Like this is a step beyond putting the for sale sign in the coach's house. Like you just think you were mad at Tommy Tuberville when he was coaching down there. No, you got to run this guy out of town. Like you got to get him into witness protection. You've got to get him asking for asylum in some other part of the country.
Yes. I keep in mind, this is after the South Korean fans have launched Jurgen Klinsmann, who was their manager for a hot second as well. And couldn't take the heat that country was putting out. So.
Like you think just running Will Muschamp out of town is enough? No, you've got to have his. We need investigations by the state as to how he got hired by the Gators. Like that's when you truly know you've made it. You guys think you're doing this. South Korea is for real on this. Like, their version of the Paul Feinbaum show is popping right now. Which will also truly be the way that we know that soccer has made it in this country. Step one is Dave Portnoy reporting on this sort of stuff. Step two is when talk radio gets into it as well. When like we're getting unhinged callers calling in on Tuesday after the game. Belgium ain't beat no one, Paul. Belgium ain't beat no one, Paul.
Oh, God. Well, looking ahead, I mean, it's hard not to look at this France-Morocco matchup as a potential championship matchup had the bracket just shook out slightly differently. But is there a tasty matchup out there that you're either looking forward to or maybe even rooting for, hoping we get at some point in the future?
Yeah. I would love to see either England, Brazil, or Mexico, Brazil. I think that no shade to Norway. I have loved, like I have completely done a 180 on Erling Haaland, watching his interactions in the United States. Him buying like a giant cowboy hat in Texas and wearing that around unironically. I'm like, my man, look, I'm just saying. If you're MLS, he wants to be here. You can see it in his eyes when he's around here.
He's enjoying it.
He's not going to want to go back to Manchester. You've been trying to make soccer in Texas a thing. You're telling me that it wouldn't be worth throwing a massive bag to get him in Austin or Dallas or Houston and revitalize one of those markets. He wants it. You can see it in his face. He craves it.
The people crave it, Chief.
They yearn. They yearn for Erling Haaland, Viking cowboy Erling Haaland.
Look, Chief, I know you're anti-Mexico. The soccer team, not the country.
Yes. Love the country, love the people. Could
I interest you in a Mexico-Brazil match in Miami? That is where that game would be played.
That would be electric. That would be an electric factory. So that's the joy here, is no matter who wins that game, I guess we win for the next round on that. So that I am looking forward on that. The other one I'm really looking forward to. I am looking forward to Portugal, Spain being played. I got to dive into this on X, the everything app. It's all happening on X. I just assume Portugal and Spain hate one another because they're right next door to one another. I don't know if that's true, but it feels like those two countries should hate one another.
They should have it at a minimum. They should be each other's like chief rival in sports and things.
I mean, like just you look at it. You look at the map. They're right there on the edge on the Iberian Peninsula. Spain has to hate that Portugal is there because I'm sure that at some point they wanted that territory for like better access to the Atlantic. Number two, like, you know, not a history buff, but like I can look at a map and see that there's a lot of countries in South America that speak Portuguese and a lot of countries that speak Spanish. I'm guessing the two of them didn't get along during the colonial period either.
Yeah. It gets really fun too when you look at the map of Iberia and you notice there's no obvious river separating them. Not really a mountain range separating them. And you think, well, okay, hang on. You've got like the Basque region and Catalan of Spain. How the hell did Portugal end up doing its own thing?
Right. So I'm going to have to look into that. I'm going to have to do some research, and that might be some deep dive reading tonight after I'm going to figure out like why that is, because now I'm personally curious. They will be hosting, I believe, the World Cup in 4 years, which I am more and more positioning myself that I need to be in attendance for in 4 years. It'll
probably be cheaper to buy the plane ticket, stay at the hotel, and get a ticket in a Portuguese or Spanish stadium or Moroccan stadium. I believe it's the three of them, and then there's 3 South American countries that are hosting like a 100th anniversary game. It's very stupid, but
yeah, it's dumb. Yeah, but that's where I'm at right now. I think those are my big matchups. I'm not as interested in the bottom half of the bracket or the bottom portion of the bracket with. I mean, maybe we should be talking about Colombia more. And like, it feels like that they are just kind of casually doing their thing and no one's talking about it because it's super boring and their defense is really, really suffocating. So they've got a matchup potentially with Argentina when and if they can get by Switzerland, which I think they will be able to get by Switzerland. Maybe I'll get interested in that, like a Colombia-Argentina match, because I don't know that Argentina has faced a defense like Colombia to this point. And that could be very interesting to see, you know, the immovable object and the unstoppable force hit one another.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Argentina side of this bracket is only interesting if and when they play Colombia. But otherwise, I mean, obviously, we've got the U.S. rooting interests on the one side. France, Morocco is going to be electric. Whoever comes out of the Mexico, England, Brazil, Norway games later today, that'll be a blast. So
I am
a lot
rooting
to
for
look forward to. Yeah.
I am rooting for Portugal, especially if the United States wins. If the United States wins, I'm definitely rooting for Portugal. If they lose, well, I mean, I guess that game will be at the same time. We'll already know the outcome of that, won't we?
It'll be earlier in the day. You'll have. So I think we got to root for Portugal of the two as U.S. fans.
I don't want to root for Ronaldo. I don't want to do that. I also don't want to play. I also like, I'm not going to root for either one because that's tempting fate to start worrying about that. But I don't like Ronaldo. I do not like that man.
Chief, you know he's named after, right?
Ronaldo. Ronald Reagan, I believe, right?
Ronald Reagan, his dad's favorite actor.
And only for his movies.
Strictly a fan of cinema.
Oh, man. Can you imagine when American soccer figures that out? Or like just not American soccer, like general American Twitter figures that out. Like all that unity we've got is going to explode right in two.
Oh, God. Well, Chief.
What a tournament. I'm going to be really sad when this is done because this has been an absolute blast. There's still got a lot to go, but this has been a ton of fun with this being here and this being every day knowing I've got soccer to watch.
You know what tape I would like to have released? If I could make a request,
please.
The phone call between Donald Trump and Johnny Infantino. If Donald that could just be, if Donald Donald's conversation with the Infantino, man, that would be.
Do you think that the threat is that we're going to ground that private plane that keeps speeding around all these games so you can get your FaceTime?
Yeah.
Or what was the threat? If you don't, I won't ground your plane and you're going to have to keep going to these games without an excuse.
We can no longer secure the airspace and the safety of your airplane traveling around to all of these games.
Be a real shame if something happened to that airplane. That's all I'm saying.
A lot of drones, a lot of kids flying drones around airports.
Yeah, things happen to people. People's luggage isn't the only thing that gets lost in the airline travel industry. That's all I'm saying right now. Yeah, let's get that out there. Enjoy the games. Release the tapes.
The World's Gam is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com, where you can find out more information about the people putting this podcast together. I also want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers, a fantastic band that has provided us with all of the music in this episode. The voiceover work at the beginning of the episode was done by Steph E., which was paid for her time and also not an AI voice. And if you have liked what you have heard so far, or even if you haven't, I am begging you, please like us, rate us, review us, leave us 5 stars. That would be amazing. Leave a little note saying how much you liked it. But maybe more importantly, share this with a friend or mention us to another fan of an MLS team. I think that would be a lovely way to help our little community grow. But regardless of whether or not you liked it, whether or not you share it, whether or not you review it, I want to say thank you for listening to it.